Hello, in this video I want to show you how I remove the mold lines from clear plastic parts. So here's an example. This is an F18 canopy and it has a mold line right down the middle. So I'm using a sharp blade, and as you can see I am scraping it. I am angling the blade in the direction that I am scraping, so that the sharp edge is pointed away. Here I'm reversing it, and I'm starting at the edges to be able to get from the edge where I want to go, rather than scraping off onto the that little ridge, and that enables me to save the ridge for masking purposes. So as you can see, I'm scraping. There's bits of plastic that are coming off. This is a very sharp blade, and it's removing that thin line, but it is, as you can see, also removing little parts of the plastic surrounding it. So it does produce a wider area of opaque plastic. And as you can see now, that line is pretty much gone, but instead I've got this opaque part of plastic. And so we need to sand that down and to polish that. I don't like to use sandpaper to get rid of the plastic, usually because it leaves gouges in there. So now here you can see I'm starting with 3200. I'm wet sanding this. So I've got a little bit of water on the sanding sponge, and the sponge absorbs some of the pressure as I'm sanding. The other thing that you will see here is that I am using some rotation in my left hand so that I don't get flat spots. So look, watch as my hand goes backwards and forwards with the left side. I'm also increasing the grit of the sandpaper, of the sanding foam. So I'm going from 3200 to 3600. Then I'm going to go to 4000, then 6000, and then 8000. Finally, it'll be at 12,000. So again, as you can see, I'm rotating my hand backwards and forwards, and slowly that opaque area is becoming more and more clear as I'm sanding it down. So this is now 12,000, and I'm really going to be giving it a good sanding here. All of this is with wet sanding, so I'm dipping it in water. It helps, the wet sanding helps to get rid of some of the plastic in between, and that way it doesn't gouge out additional parts of the plastic, and the water acts as a lubricant. So here you can see I've finished the scraping and I've finished the sanding, but there's still some opaqueness to this. It's not nice and shiny and clear, and so we're going to move on to the polishing. So I use the 3-pot Tamiya Polishing Compounds, and it starts off with coarse, which is the red one, and I'm using a clean microfiber cloth. I'm taking just a little bit, you don't need a lot, and I'm rubbing it onto the area that I've sanded. Now this is a polishing compound, it's not a polish. So polishes you put on, you let dry, and you rub off. Polishing compounds have to be rubbed in. And so this polishing compound, the coarse one, I'm rubbing it in, and as you can see, it's slowly becoming more clear and shinier. And I'm going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. I'm going in the direction that I was sanding, which is the same direction that I was scraping in. Again, as you can see, I move my left hand backwards and forwards in rotating it so that I don't get flat spots, and it helps to keep it round. Now I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the fine. So the fine compound, take just a little bit. Now I'm using a new piece of the cloth, and these can be washed out of the cloth, so you can just put them in the wash. Obviously not with your clothing, but they can be washed, and then you can reuse that microfiber cloth. So now this is the fine compound, and as you can see I'm going backwards and forwards, and same direction again, and still rotating my left hand. And I've also had to extend it, because as you sand, the area gets wider and wider as you feather it into the surrounding parts. So I'm now polishing pretty much the whole thing with this vinyl. This is the finishing compound. This is the silver one, and again a new piece of cloth, a new part of the cloth, and now I'm rubbing it in. So this is the final version. I don't typically put on polish after this, as it makes it difficult for the paint to adhere to. I don't feel like I need to, but you can if you want to. So as you can see here, this is now the finished product. I'm going to be going backwards and forwards, polishing it until I am satisfied. But I'm very happy with this, and this canopy came out very nicely.